On the far edge of a quiet mountain village, where the sky met the forest and silence felt alive, there lived an old woman named Elara. Her cottage was small, built from rough stones and memories, but it was warm. Every morning she lit her fireplace, tended her garden, and hummed songs no one else remembered. The villagers often said her home smelled of soup, smoke, and peace. Elara had no family, no riches, no grand story to tell. But what she did have was something most people spent their whole lives searching for: contentment. Whenever someone in the village felt lost or heartbroken, they came to Elara. She never offered miracles, only a smile, a listening ear, and a bowl of soup that somehow made the world seem softer again. When people asked her how she could stay happy while having so little, she would simply reply, "Because I never ask life for more than what it gives." One evening, when the sky was bruised with twilight and snow began to fall, there came a knock on her door, sharp, deliberate, echoing through the stillness. Elara opened it and found a stranger standing outside. He was tall, cloaked in black, with eyes that gleamed like distant stars. "Good evening," she said warmly, though her voice carried a trace of caution. The man bowed his head slightly. "Good evening, Elara. I've heard of you, the woman who lives with nothing yet owns peace. I've come to offer you a choice." "A choice?" she asked, curious. "Yes," he replied, "3 doors. Behind one lies your deepest desire. Behind the other 2, only disappointment." Elara smiled gently. "I'm too old for dreams, traveler." The man's voice softened. "Then humor me, wise one. You've given peace to others all your life. Tonight, let me give you a chance to choose your own happiness." After a long pause, Elara wrapped a shawl around her shoulders and followed him into the night. They walked through fields blanketed in snow until they reached a moonlit meadow. The first was golden, glowing faintly as if it held sunlight within. The second was wooden, beautifully carved with vines and roses. The third was old and rusted, barely standing, its surface flaking like dried leaves. The traveler turned to her. Her wrinkled hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of curiosity. Finally, she walked past the golden and wooden doors and stopped in front of the rusted one. The traveler frowned. "You'd choose that. It's worn, broken, worthless." Elara smiled softly. "All the beautiful things that ever came into my life looked ordinary at first, sometimes even broken. I've learned not to trust what shines too brightly." She touched the cold metal and pushed the door open. Inside, nothing. No light, no treasure, just darkness and dust. The traveler tilted his head. "You see, you've chosen emptiness. Aren't you disappointed?" Elara looked into the darkness for a long moment, then turned back to him with a calm smile. "I was born with nothing. I'll leave with nothing. But in between, I've learned how to smile. So tell me, what exactly have I lost?" The man's expression shifted. He stepped forward and opened the golden door. Inside were piles of gold and jewels glittering like captured sunlight. Then he opened the wooden one. Inside was a mirror, and in it, Elara saw herself as she once was, young, radiant, full of life. The traveler's voice grew soft. "You could have had all this: youth, wealth, beauty, power. You could have lived a grander life." Elara's eyes lingered on the reflection, on the smooth skin, the bright hair, the woman she once was. But when she turned away, her smile was even gentler than before. "I already had those things once," she said. "They came and went just as seasons do. My beauty became wisdom, my wealth became patience, and my strength became peace. Why would I trade that for gold?" The traveler stared at her in silence. Snowflakes drifted down, melting on his dark cloak. "You are the first," he finally said, "to choose the rusted door and smile at what you found." Elara chuckled softly. "Perhaps at S, because I no longer look for happiness in what S behind the door. I find it in standing before it, knowing I'm still breathing, still grateful." She turned to leave, her footsteps light upon the snow. "Wait," the traveler called after her. "Tell me, how did you learn this peace?" Elara paused and looked back at him, her eyes shining like tiny flames. "By losing everything I once thought I needed," she said. "When you lose enough, you finally see that peace isn't what life gives, it's what your heart allows." And then she walked away, back toward the faint glow of her cottage. Inside, the fire still burned, the soup still bubbled, and her old rocking chair still waited beside the window. Elara sat down, wrapped her shawl tighter, and began to hum one of her forgotten songs. Far out in the meadow, the traveler stood alone. He looked at the 3 doors once more. Then slowly, he reached for the rusted one, the same door she had chosen, and stepped through it. For a moment, there was nothing. No treasure, no light, only stillness. And yet, for the first time in his long, endless journey, he felt something bloom quietly in his chest. Peace. The wind whispered through the mountains, carrying Ilara's soft humming across the snow. He smiled. So this is what she meant, he murmured. He turned toward the stars, and in that silent moment, the golden and wooden doors faded into nothingness. Only the rusted one remained, humble, eternal, untouched. The golden door promises wealth, the wooden door promises beauty, but the rusted door, empty and silent, teaches peace. Happiness doesn't come from what's behind the door. It comes from being grateful, even when the door is empty.